Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the top small caps from today. And so these are the a lot of the stocks that we're running today. Some weren't, some were setting up. Even going to show you one that pulled back. If you look here at ticker symbol WMLP, this was the big winner today. It closed up 194%. So congrats everybody that caught the early alert on this one. And yeah, it just kept pushing. They've been doing that lately. They've been really pushing the stocks higher, the small caps. And so this was today's big runner. It hit 85 on our side. You've got Fasto at 82 now. As you can see, it has a history of not being able to stay above 80 on Fasto. You got the spike on plus DI. And so today it was able to bust through the 50, 100, 200, and 300-day simple moving averages, the gold, the green, gold, and red and blue lines. And so the key level now to stay above is going to be this high close over here at $3, and then this 300-day simple moving average at 277. If the candles do work back into the bands, you want to see that 300-day simple moving average turn into support. If it holds, then it can launch off that higher. Right now it's trading, it closed at 350 in after hours trading, so it was pulling back. So if it gets a gap down open, it's going to be important that it's able to stay above that 300-day simple moving average. Notice the giant volume spike. If you look here at the weekly chart, you can see the level that it hit and pulled back. It came up and it hit this red line. That's the 200-week moving average at 453. That's the big level to break. If it can close above that level for the week, then it could head higher. And then you could see a run up here to the top of this channel. It had a channel back here in 2016 and then started pulling back in 2017 up to around 550. If it fails to get above that 450 level, what you want to see this week is a close above the gold line. That's the 100-week moving average at 355. You want to see it stay above that level. It has been able to break above the 20 and 50-week moving averages, the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-week moving average. That's a really strong move. So huge volume. Look at this. It's the largest volume in many years. And yeah, we'll see if it can push through. If it can get through that 200-week moving average, and then it gets above 550, you can see creeping out off the top up here is the 300-week moving average at 896. Okay, let's look at AVGR. All right, sweet move today. Closed up 72%. Right, good move, nice move. And it was forming the black candle at first, and it ended up pushing nicely. As you can see, it did pull down at one point today, and then it pushed higher and it formed this nice white candle. There's a gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today, so there's a space between those two candles. Today there's a gap up open above the gap. As you can see, there's a gap over here between high of day on this candle and low of day on this candle, and so the move above the top of the gap was super bullish. This creates when you have a downward move and then a gap down, and then you can see there's a cluster of candles, and then now there's a gap up. This looks like a possible island cluster reversal pattern, where this is the island here, and then now it could break away and start heading higher. We'll see. If it drops below the bottom of the gap level, that would be a red flag, and then it could consolidate and fill the gap. EMA 4 at 168 would be the key level to hold if it drops below this red line, and then the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-day simple moving average down here in the 130 support zone needs to hold for this uptrend to continue. Notice how tight the channel was. The Bollinger Bands were super tight, and it broke out to the upside. It's breaking out of this channel to the upside. It signals more upside potential. What you want to see is a break above 250. That would be the top of the gap, and then the next target would be the 100-day simple moving average at 302. So 250, 302 are the two big levels to break above. Okay, let's look at CARA. Ticker symbol CARA. Huge move today. Closed up 42%. Just giant move. It ended up busting through the moving averages after the big gap up open. It started it closed yesterday way down here at 1160. It gapped up above the middle Bollinger Band, above the 50 and the 100 and 200-day simple moving averages, and then during the day it was able to break above the blue line, which is the 300-day simple moving average at 1429. You want to see that level turn into support. It also broke above the high close resistance from February and March, and then it also closed above the high close from back here in January. And so this was the highest close for the entire 2018 for CARA. And so what it really needs to do is stay above 16. Now that it's above the 16 level, it closed above it. It needs to stay above it. If it pulled back, then it could consolidate. You could see the candles work back back into the bands, possibly head back down to 14. If it could stay above 16, it could push higher. What we need to do is look out a little bit further, and so we'll look at this weekly chart. You can see the weekly chart has RSI at 65, so there's still room to run till 70. Fasto is up at 94. You had the crossover on ADX, and so basically it had been in this tight channel for multiple months. You can see this is the bottom of the channel, and then you've got the top of the channel here, and so it busted out of the top of that, and then it also busted out of this high close from July of 2017, and so this weekly candle will not set until the closing bell on Friday. So it needs to close above these two levels, above this white candle and above 15 and this 1650 level for the week, and then that would signal more upside potential. And then you can see there's candles were hitting resistance right here around 1850. That's going to be a big level, and then if it could get above this 1850 to 19 level, it could run back up to 23. That was the all-time high, this weekly close on this chart in 2017. The high close at 23. And so that would be the upward target. This is a big move this week above the 100-week moving average, and then the 50-week moving average, and the 20-week moving average. It's a big move above all three. If it could turn that 100-week moving or that green line into support, the 50-week moving average, that would be super bullish. You can see it was trying to for multiple weeks and failed. So yeah, this is a huge move. And also, look at the volume. Check out the volume. This is the largest volume since July of 2017. And the week isn't finished yet. So yeah, this is a giant move. PSAR bull flip. You've got the dots below the candles, and then look at MACD. MACD just crossed over on both time frames. So this could be the start of the next push higher. All right, let's see. HEAR, Turtle Beach. All right, they're killing it with the frontline or Fortnite. Look at me trying to act like I know about video games, but yeah, the whole Fortnite thing, and they're selling a lot of headsets here, and so Turtle Beach has been in play. A lot of people think it's going to break out higher and head to the next level. It held support here nicely on the pullback. It came down and it hit the lime line here, which is EMA 8, and that was a really nice bounce off of support. As you can see here, look how every time it hits this line, it bounces off. And yeah, and so when it's tested the orange line, it's held, and so that's the downside risk. If it were to break below the lime line at 1554, it could drop down to the orange line at 1405. That level would have to hold, or else you could get a big drop down to the middle Bollinger Band, and then then people would be talking about this gap between low of day on this candle and high of day on this candle, and so there's the risk of that gap filling at some point in the future. But for the upside, since it had a nice bounce today and it's back above EMA 4 at 1642, it's still in a very strong uptrend. It needs to close above this candle right here on the 16th, and if it can close above that's around 1850. The 1850 level, and then if it can break above that with the close above, that should signal that it wants to head higher. Then you could see a push back up to test 20 and possibly break out to that next level. So keep an eye on that 1850 level tomorrow. If you see a drop below 1642, that would be a red flag. It needs to stay above EMA 4. If you want the chart to be really strong and signaling that it's pushing higher, it's in this tight range right here. As you could see, all these candles have closes within this range, and so it's either going to bust through resistance or drop through support very soon. If you look here at the HEAR weekly chart, you can see the next target on the weekly chart. It looks like it's this blue line here, which is the 300-week moving average at 2144, and so that there's still some nice upside to that level. You can see that was support from back here in 2014. Right now, it's hitting the support level from 2014 as well, and so it's going to need to bust above that. It is right now trading above that level. Like I said about the last stock, the weekly chart will not set the candle until the closing bell on Friday, so this candle can change a lot until between now and then. But if you look at all of these candles here, starting back here in February, they got above the pink line, and every single one of these candles is riding above EMA 4, currently at 1415. As long as they keep riding above that level, the longer term swing trade signal is just to keep riding. This has been a huge moneymaker, but this is going to be a big level. If it can bust through that 300-week moving average and close above, you can see this is what people are excited about, is this action over here from 2013 and 2014, you could see the stock, traded, 70, 80, way up there. And so, yeah, and look at the volume, huge volume. They did have the reverse split, so that got the share price up higher, but there's monster volume behind the move. Okay, let's look at HEAR on the monthly chart. And so this is smoothing out the data on the weekly chart. You could see here, it's a little bit harder to read the candles. And so if you go out to the monthly chart, each candle on this chart represents 1 month of trading. It smooths it out. This is the whole history of the trading of the stock. You can see it started here. It's breaking out higher. And so what you want to see this month is a monthly close above this green line. That's the 50-month moving average at 970. If it could stay above that level, that would be super bullish. You could see the all-time high close is way up here in the 70, 80 range, pushing 90s. And so yeah, it's looking very strong on the monthly chart. Look at the 3-month run. As long as it keeps riding this EMA4 support and it's staying above the middle Bollinger Band, this downtrend has been reversed. Look how it was a multi-year downtrend that started on this red candle when the middle Bollinger Band broke. And so last month it closed above the middle Bollinger Band for the first time since back here in 2014, and that signaled the start of a new uptrend. Now it is pushing well above the upper Bollinger Band, and so if the candles do work in the bands, it's all about turning that 50-month moving average into support. Check out how it's the all-time highest volume in the history of the stock. So huge volume. Okay, let's look at GERN. Closed up 15% today. Congrats, everybody. This was nice follow through. This is one of our plays from the chat yesterday on the break above the 50-day simple moving average in the middle Bollinger Band. So when this candle broke above this dotted purple line and above the green line, that was telling you that it wanted to head higher with the close above resistance. Even though it was on a 4-day run, it was signaling more upside. Now it did hit the top of this channel, and that was the one red flag. Was it going to be able to break above 25 resistance? You can see that was the top, and today it did. It busted through that level, so that was super good. Very nice to see. And then it also got above the bottom of the gap. There's a gap between high of day in this candle and low of day in this candle. So the close above the bottom of the gap is bullish. It needs to stay above 460. You want to see it stay above the bottom of the gap level, and then the next level to break is $5. That's the top of the gap. If it can get above that $5 level, then there's another gap to fill between these two candles. And so between 560 and 580, there's another gap above, and then you'd be looking for that to fill if this one fills. As long as candles are riding above EMA4 support here, riding EMAs 4 and 8, you can see they got above on this candle. The signal is to just keep riding. Look at GERN over here in March. It rode above the pink line for multiple days in a row. So that it could keep pushing. If it does pull back, you want to see that 50-day simple moving average at 394 turn into support. You really want to see it stay above 420. It needs to stay above this high close in the top of the channel and be able to launch off of that. You don't want to see it get sucked back into the channel because it could start going sideways again. Okay, let's look at FWP. Now this is one that closed down 28% today. So it came up yesterday and it had that awesome run, hit the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages. It did close above, but just for future reference, that is always the lock-in gain zone. If it closes above, it does signal that it could push higher, but the risk is that you could get the gap down open, and that's what happened. It did gap down and then they pulled it back. It hit EMA 8 down here at 269 and bounced off of that level. So that was a nice technical bounce off of support. It closed below the 100-day simple moving average. We were looking for a close above that level, the gold line. It's going to have to break above that level tomorrow to head higher. So if it can get above $3 and it's trading above 3, that's going to be a signal that the bounce is happening. If you see 3 as resistance, that's going to signal downside risk. And then if it broke 269, it could come down here and test the 50-day simple moving average in the middle Bollinger Band down here between 230 and 240. That green line needs to hold that 50-day simple moving average, and then it could launch off of that. This was a nice break above resistance, and then it pulled back. It has the fib retrace. Can it hold support and push higher? It has volume behind it, so we'll see if that can happen. It just has to get above 3, and then it's going to be $4 will be the next key level. Now you can see that the 15-minute chart. It started off the day up here, and it was still bullish on the chart. You could see this was yesterday's close, and then today's open was down here, but it was still above the middle Bollinger Band. They did fade it down, and it did get below the middle Bollinger Band. It finally found support at 280, and then it kind of channeled out here. It got a run up to 326, but it pulled back, and it kind of closed near the lows of the day. you can see this was the low close, and so it's all about tomorrow. This green line, that's the 50 simple moving average at 286. If it can hold that level, it could bounce off, and then it has to get above the middle Bollinger Band at 299. So there's that $3 level again, and so if it can get above 3, that's going to be a signal. Okay, yeah, it's bouncing. It wants to head higher. If you see it drop below 286, that's going to be a red flag, and then it could come down here and test these moving averages. Could drop down to 250, down to that 100 simple moving average. Okay, let's look at OGEN. Closed up nearly 20% today. So RSI is above 50. This is heating up. So it got above the middle Bollinger Band, and then it down here at 128, and then it got above the 50-day simple moving average intraday, the green line, but it pulled back below, and so it has to break that level tomorrow, or in the future to head higher. If it fails to do that, it's not ready to go. It was unfortunate it pulled back below. You can see how it's been resistance. The last close above was over here the 19th of March. So once it closes above, it could run up to that 100-day simple moving average at 183. It failed to hold the middle Bollinger Band the last time in May. So if it does drop below the middle Bollinger Band, it will be a risk to hold. It has to be able to stay above that level and push through the 50-day simple moving average. If you look at the OGEN 15-minute chart, you could see here it was really tight trading, and then it popped. It had some good volume here at 2 o'clock, and then they pulled it back. The 15-minute chart is still bullish. I mean, as long as it stays above that middle Bollinger Band at 131, the chart's still intact. It has to get above EMA's 4 and 8, break above 143, and then this 160 level up here is going to be the big level to break. If you see it break above 160, that should signal it wants to push higher. It broke out above the all the moving averages, the 50, 100, 200, and 300 simple moving averages, and above the middle Bollinger Band, which is the 20 simple moving average. So it was a really strong move on this candle at 2 o'clock with big volume. And so keep an eye on it. It could, with the volume coming in, it should be able to push higher unless it was just a quick dump. But it looks like it might want to break through resistance tomorrow, so have it on the radar. Okay, let's look at SNES, closed up 17%. So yeah, this one had the big move on Monday, and yeah, when it broke above that 200-day simple moving average, that was signaling more upside potential. It was able to fill that gap yesterday when it got above the gap level, the top of the gap, and then today it actually pushed higher. So it has these 2 black candles in a row. What it needs to do is break above the support level from back here in September and October, and in November. This was a big support level around 150, between 150 and 160. If it can bust above that level, you have this 180 to 190 zone on deck. And then around 220 is going to be a big level. That was the top over here. And then if it can get through all those levels, the big level is going to be that 300-day simple moving average at 291. Notice that lined up with the high from back here in October and November. And so that would be the ultimate target if it was pushing higher. Now if it dropped below the top of the gap level, this red line, and it got below the 200-day simple moving average at 120, that would be a red flag, and then it could pull back and consolidate. EMA 4 is all the way up here at 150. Now, on a pullback, you just want to see those levels hold. If they hold, it could bounce off of that and head higher. If it were to drop below, then it could get sucked back down, and you could see some consolidating and see that dollar level tested, etc. Notice how it really channeled out the last 2 days. Look how tight the sideways channel is. So something's going to break here. It got super tight here. It's above all the moving averages right now. It's actually trading above every single moving average on this chart. So it's actually bullish on the chart if you look over here at all the moving averages. So the 15-minute chart is bullish. It just has to break through the top of the channel, which was the candle here at 130. If it can get above this 150 resistance zone, here's that 165 or so level, and then the high close was up here at 185. That would be the target to the upside, and then if it broke out above 185, then it could really get moving. Now if it were to break below the bottom of the channel and break through this 125 support, that would be the red flag. Really, it needs to stay above the 50 simple moving average at 138. Notice how all these candles today held that level. So if it broke below, this one closed slightly below, but they were all holding it. If it broke below, that would be your signal that it's breaking down to the downside. Okay, let's look at XGTI. Closed up 14% today. So yeah, so keep an eye on this one. It closed back above the middle Bollinger Band down here at 82 on a big volume spike. And so if it can turn that level into support, that 50-day simple moving average will be the next target at 98. Have to get above this high close on the 7th. It made a nice bounce. It's a very thinly traded stock. It has been in this channel here. And so if it can bust through the top of the channel and get through that 50-day simple moving average and a dollar level, it might get moving. What's promising is that volume spike and the break above resistance. Now, if it dropped back below 82, that would signal it's not ready to go. And so it would no longer be a good setup. Okay, let's look at BBOX. Closed up nearly 12% today. Yeah, so this one has been on a nice run. It got above that 50-day simple moving average. It broke out above this channel here. And so that was a nice move. You could see it had this channel going on, and then it broke out above. And so that break above the 100-day simple moving average here was signaling more upside at 248. And now it's hitting the bottom of the gap level. You know, there's a gap between high of day on this candle and low of day on this candle. So at 290 is the bottom of the gap, and $3 is the top of the gap. So it's going to have to close above all three levels. You notice how the 200-day simple moving average is right in between at 294. So this is a major resistance level. If it can close above $3 and turn that into support, that would be incredibly bullish, and that would be signaling, you know, big upside potential. It could run back up here to $4. Now, if it stalls out here and it fails to get above 290, fails to get above $3, you could see it consolidate and pull back to test that 250 support zone in the 100-day simple moving average. Okay, let's look at BDR. Closed up 12% today. Now this had a long upper wick on today's candle. It did break above high close resistance intraday. That 125 level, the bottom of this black candle, is the key level to break. If you can get above that level, 150 would be the big, you know, the next big target. When you get that long pullback, you know, you get the spike down on accumulation distribution down here, a spike down on shaken money flow. You know, it signals that they were dumping shares, even though it was up nicely on the day. You know, 12% had the volume spike. It wasn't huge volume, so the spike down wasn't that big. But still, we'll see if they hold it back to load. The interesting thing is it's above the middle Bollinger Band. If it can stay above $1, it's in play. If it drops below $1, it'll be a risk to hold. You know, it's only going to be good if it stays above $1 and then busts through 125. So keep an eye on it. It did have some good volume back here, so they might try to get it running again. If you look at the BDR 15-minute chart, you can see how it pulled back, and what it needs to hold is that 50 simple moving average at 108. If it can hold that level and then get back above 121, then it could get moving. The high close level to break is 133.5. Once you get a close above that level, then that's a signal that it wants to head higher. Drop below 108, and then you have $1 on deck. It'll come down here and test these moving averages. Notice the big volume spike got it going, so that's what makes it interesting. You know, is this just a quick pump and dump here, or were these guys loading for higher levels? Just have to follow the charts. Okay, let's look at IBIO. This closed up 5% today, so this is one that's setting up. You know, check out how it's been in this channel down here, and you know, it's got the sideways action going. You know, it has a tight channel. You know, these candles were all closed with inside this range, and the close today was above that level, and so now it's testing the next channel, which was these candles right here, and so you notice how that was high of day at 17. So it was a super bullish close today. I mean, this was the since it channeled out for the last, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, this was the best close, and it did close above the middle Bollinger Band at 15.6, and so that was the first close above the middle Bollinger Band since way back here in March, and so before the downtrend started. So this is signaling the possible start of a new uptrend. You know, you've got the PSAR bull flip, you've got the nice volume spike. It was the largest volume day since back here in March, the last time it got a good run going. And so if it can break above 17, look for a run up here to the 50 and 100-day simple moving averages and the 19 to 19.5 level. Those will be the targets above. So yeah, this chart's really heating up. If we can get above 50 on RSI, that would be bullish. Notice the bullish crossover here. You see you have the ADX, you have plus DI crossing minus DI to the upside, you know, for the first time since back here. And so yeah, chart's heating up. We'll see if it'll follow through and get a new uptrend going. Okay, let's look at AETI. Closed up nearly 21% today, and so this chart's interesting because, you know, it's thinly traded, but it had, you know, this is the small cap video. It had a nice volume spike today, and so you can see it's the largest volume and since back here in March, and you know, the largest green volume bar in a long time, and so it closed above the 50-day simple moving average at 854. That's the first close above that level in months. If it could stay above that level, the next target will be the 100-day simple moving average at 116. So keep an eye on this stock. We'll see if it can break out higher. You know, it's hitting some resistance from right here. And then, yeah, this dollar level is always, for penny stocks that are trading below $1, $1 is always big to break. If it can break above $1, you want to see it stay stay above that level. And then one more to leave you with is a random play here, YRIV. You can see here it's been on this nice little run, and it had a big volume spike today. It's hitting the 7 resistance zone, and so from back in January, if it can break above 7, it looks like it could run up to this $9 to $10 level. It has volume. It's on a multi-day run already. If EMA 4 at 581 support holds, that upturn should continue. It might not be able to bust above 7, but it looks like it could get a pop up to 9 or 10 if it does. Okay, thanks for doing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, please come check out the chat. I'll post the link below the video. Send me please send me a direct message in the chat if you want to come check out the premium channels, because that's where everything's at. And yeah, we'll get you in there. Okay, thank you.